So balancing video and physical appointments. The reason I want to talk about this is because I find that if you are offering, say, just an open calendar, especially when you're releasing that to patients for them to book, if you're mixing and matching different appointment types, you often find that it's hard to switch between the two ways of doing things. Especially in the case of video. Telephone is not so bad. Obviously, you would have had years and years of experience with telephone consultations, but with videos, it's still new territory, really, especially compared to the other ways you're used to practicing. And I find that unless you sort of take a dedicated time to have the video consultations, say a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, that's separate, I find that the quality of it really suffers, and it's a bit of a hassle, and it's a bit stressful, whereas actually what you want to be over the video is as stress-free as possible, because it's one of those things that you don't want to appear unprofessional or unprepared, and messing around like that sometimes can give that impression, even though it's not obviously the case. And first impressions always count, especially when you don't have the benefit of body language as much. You don't have the benefit of physical examination and so on to reassure people. So as I say, what I would do is set a dedicated time for video calls. So you can have, for example, on this slide, you've got on the left-hand side here, you've got my colleague who has 6 hours worth of video calls in one go. A bit much if you ask me, but there it is. And then they've got, in the afternoon, then they've got a few physical slots on the right-hand side. So you can see there's a clear separation there, clear separation of work. And it can, of course, correspond to lots of things. So it can be that, especially earlier on in the lockdown where, children were at home and all sorts of stuff like that, it could mean that you could do your video calls from home as long as you'd set up the workspace right. And then you could come into the clinic in the afternoon, for example, or when appropriate. So there's lots of different things you can do in terms of that. And it just does add to that sort of level of professionalism that you get across to the patient as well. If you're happy and relaxed, they will be too, generally speaking.